In the heart of a quiet, sun-dappled forest, where the leaves whispered secrets to the wind, lived two birds. Their names were Kale and Lyra. Their home was a small, perfect nest, tucked safely in the high branches of an ancient oak tree. It was a sturdy thing, woven not just with twigs and soft moss, but with the threads of shared mornings and quiet evenings. The world below could be busy and loud, with the scurrying of creatures and the rustling of predators, but in their little home, there was only peace. It was a simple life, a good life, built on the steady rhythm of the rising and setting sun. They had everything they needed, and for a time, that was more than enough. Kale was a bird of simple devotion. His love for Lyra was the compass that guided his every action. Each morning, before the first rays of sunlight had a chance to warm the forest floor, he would be off. He soared through the crisp air, his wings beating a steady rhythm of purpose, searching for the juiciest berries, the plumpest worms, the most delicate seeds. He didn't just bring back food, he brought back offerings. He would present them to Lyra with a gentle chirp, his eyes bright with the simple joy of giving. He saw her as the most beautiful creature in the entire forest, more vibrant than the wildflowers and more graceful than the falling leaves in autumn. He would sing for her, his melodies weaving through enchantment. Blueness of the sky and the warmth of her presence. When storms rolled in, shaking the mighty oak, he would shelter her with his own body, taking the brunt of the wind and rain so that she remained dry and safe. He never asked for anything in return. Her happiness was his reward. It was a love that was as constant as the North Star, a steady, unwavering light in the vastness of their small world. He believed their love was strong enough to withstand any storm, any challenge, any season. He thought it was a fortress, impenetrable and everlasting. For a long while, Lyra was happy. She cherished the berries he brought and found comfort in the songs he sang. Their days were a gentle pattern of shared flights and quiet moments, watching the world turn from their perch high above. The forest was their kingdom, and their nest was their castle. Life felt complete, a circle of love and care that had no beginning and no end. She would preen his feathers, a gesture of affection, and listen to his stories of the world beyond their tree. In these moments, everything was right. There were no shadows, no questions, just the simple, undeniable truth of their life together, a life woven with kindness. But love, even the purest kind, can sometimes find itself in the company of doubt. A seed of insecurity had taken root in Lyra's heart, a tiny, almost unnoticeable thing at first. She would watch other bird couples in the forest. She saw them perform grand gestures, their songs louder, their flights more daring. She heard tales of epic journeys and great sacrifices made in the name of love. Her own life with Kale, so quiet and steady, began to feel plain. Was his simple daily kindness enough, or was it just habit? A comfortable routine that lacked the fire she read about in the rustling leaves and the dramatic skies. The question began to haunt her waking moments. These thoughts were like tiny creeping vines, wrapping themselves around her peace. She started to see Kale's gentle gestures not as proof of his love, but as evidence of its smallness. The perfect berry was just a berry. The morning song was just a sound. His constant presence, which once felt like a comforting blanket, now sometimes felt like a cage. She began to crave something more, something bigger, a grand declaration that would shout his love to the entire forest and silence the growing whispers of doubt in her own mind. She wanted a story to tell, a testament to a love that was as grand and dramatic as the tales carried on the wind. Kale, in his simple devotion, noticed the change. He saw the light in her eyes, dim, a little. He saw her flinch when he brought his daily offerings. He tried harder. He flew farther, seeking out rarer seeds. He sang louder, his melodies filled with a new, questioning urgency. But the more he gave, the more she seemed to pull away. He did not understand. For him, love was in the quiet moments, the unspoken promises, the daily acts of care. He did not know how to perform grand gestures. His love was not a performance, it was the very air he breathed, natural and essential. He couldn't understand why what was once enough was now falling short. The silence between them grew heavier. Where there was once easy chirping, there was now a strained quiet. Lyra would sit at the edge of the nest, staring out at the vast forest, lost in her own troubled thoughts. She yearned for proof. for a sign so powerful it could not be misinterpreted. She wanted to feel the certainty she once had, but the more she chased it, the more it eluded her. The beautiful, simple life they had built together started to feel fragile, as if a single strong gust of wind could blow it all away. Doubt was no longer a whisper. It was becoming a roar. The tension finally broke on a cool autumn evening. The air was crisp with the coming cold, and the leaves were turning shades of fire and gold. They had been arguing, their chirps sharp and unfamiliar. The argument was about nothing and everything, as most arguments are. It was about a misplaced twig, but it was really about the growing chasm between them. Lyra, her heart heavy with a mix of frustration and sadness, finally voiced the question that had been poisoning her thoughts. It was a challenge born from her insecurity, a desperate attempt to measure something that has no measure. "Who loves more?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Kale was taken aback. For him, love was not a competition. It was a partnership, a shared existence. He looked at her, his gentle eyes filled with confusion and hurt. "What do you mean?" he chirped softly. "Our love is not something to be weighed or measured. It just is." But Lyra could not accept this. She needed a contest, a test, something tangible she could hold on to as proof. Her doubt demanded it. "If you truly love me," she declared, her voice growing stronger, "you will prove it. Let's see who can endure more for the other. The one who gives up first is the one who loves less." She proposed her challenge. "I will stay in our warm nest all night," she said. "You will stay on the branch below, out in the open, until the sun rises. You cannot come up, no matter how cold it gets, no matter how much the wind blows. If you can do this for me, I will never doubt you again." It was a cruel test, thoughtless and unfair, but Lyra was blinded by her need for a grand gesture. She did not truly consider the danger, the biting cold of a late autumn night. She only saw the finish line, the moment of proof she so desperately craved. Kale looked at her, and in that moment, he saw not her challenge, but her pain. He saw the fear and insecurity that were driving her to this extreme. He did not want to play this game, but he loved her too much to refuse. He loved her enough to try and heal the hurt that was causing her to push him away. So, with a heavy heart, he agreed. "I will do it," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "I will wait on the branch below. For you." He didn't say it to win. He said it because he hoped that by morning, her heart would finally be at peace. As dusk settled, painting the sky in shades of deep purple and gray, Kale flew down to a bare branch just below their nest. Lyra watched him go, a knot tightening in her stomach. She settled into the warmth of their shared home, the soft moss and feathers a familiar comfort. At first, she felt a flicker of triumph. He was doing it. He was proving his love. She listened to the wind begin to pick up, its mournful howl a stark contrast to the cozy silence of the nest. She told herself that by morning, everything would be better. The doubt would be gone, and their love would be stronger than ever. But as the hours crept by, the night grew colder. A deep, penetrating chill set in, the kind that seeps into your very bones. The wind was relentless, whipping through the branches of the old oak, shaking it to its core. Lyra, tucked away in the nest, could hear the fierce gusts. She shivered, even in her shelter. She thought of Kale, exposed on that bare branch. A pang of worry, sharp and unwelcome, cut through her resolve. She told herself he was strong, he would be fine, this was for the best. But the words felt hollow, a weak defense against a growing sense of dread. The moon cast a pale, ghostly light over the forest. Every rustle of leaves, every creak of a branch, sounded ominous. Lyra couldn't sleep. She pictured Kale, his small body battling the freezing wind. She imagined him shivering, his feathers fluffed up in a futile attempt to stay warm. Was this what she wanted? For him to suffer just to satisfy her own insecurity? The question echoed in the lonely darkness. The grand gesture she had demanded now seemed cruel and meaningless. Love wasn't about enduring pain, it was about preventing it. The realization hit her with the force of the icy wind. She wanted to call out to him, to tell him to come back, that the test was over, that she was wrong. But her pride, that stubborn, foolish pride, held her back. What would he think of her then? that she was weak, that she couldn't even follow through on her own challenge. And so, she remained silent, a prisoner in the very nest he had so lovingly built for her. She lay there, listening to the storm rage outside, and within her own heart, waiting for the dawn, praying it would come quickly and erase the terrible mistake she had made. The night felt endless. The first light of dawn finally broke through the darkness, gray and unforgiving. The wind had died down, leaving behind a world coated in a thin layer of frost. Lyra's heart pounded with a mixture of hope and terror. She peered over the edge of the nest, her breath catching in her throat. Below her, on the branch, Kale was still there. He hadn't moved. He had done it. He had stayed all night, just as he had promised. A wave of relief washed over her, so powerful it almost brought her to tears. He had proven his love. He had passed her foolish test. Filled with remorse and a desperate need to apologize, she flew down to him. "Kale," she chirped softly, landing beside him. "You did it. I am so sorry." But he did not respond. He did not turn to look at her with his kind eyes. He remained perfectly still, a small, frozen statue on the frosty branch. She nudged him gently with her beak, a cold dread seeping into her heart. "Kyle," she whispered, her voice trembling. She nudged him again, harder this time, but there was no response. He was gone. The cold had taken him in the night. He had waited for the sun, but it had come too late. A cry of pure agony tore from her throat, a sound of such profound loss that it silenced the forest. She had her proof. He had loved her more than his own life. He had died to prove a love that had been there all along, in every berry, every song, every quiet moment. His love hadn't needed a grand gesture. His entire life had been won. She huddled against his cold, still body, her tears freezing on her feathers. The warmth she had enjoyed in the nest felt like a cruel mockery. She had been safe and comfortable while the one who loved her most had perished in the cold, all for her. The sun rose higher, casting a golden light on the tragic scene, but for Lyra, the world had gone dark. She finally understood. True love doesn't need to be tested or proven with grand, painful gestures. It speaks in the quiet language of daily kindness, of unwavering support, of putting another's well-being before your own. Her doubt had been a poison, and it had destroyed the most beautiful thing she had ever known. We must trust the people who show us love every day. We must not let our own insecurities become a storm that wrecks the home that love has so carefully built. For sometimes, the deepest truths are the ones spoken without any words at all.